All right, so let's track a little Biden campaign promise that they now are just pretending he never made, which is when he was running for president, Bernie wanted to cancel all student debt, and Biden took a much more conservative position, which is he wanted to cancel the first $10,000 of debt. So some enterprising reporter decided to ask our great press secretary, Jen Psaki, what the hell happened to that promise. Here's how that went.
I think you said last week that you were working on a plan to help students pay. But what about President Biden's campaign to forgive or cancel $10,000 in student debt? Pardon me. What is the message to those people who feel that he's yet to follow through on that promise?
If Congress sends him a bill, he's happy to sign it. They haven't sent him a bill on that yet. Go ahead.
So just totally dismisses it there. Like, oh, well, he hasn't got a bill, so he's not going to do it.
Okay.
Well, you have the power to cancel debt. Trump used this power. Obama also used this power, not to have a blanket cancellation, but the power is there to cancel as much of student debt as you decide you want to do. This is not even like some of the things I push for, like I think based on the analysis of David Dayton and others, that you could expand Medicare to everyone. That one would be challenged in the court. That's a dicier proposition. This one, the precedent is really pretty clear that they have the power to cancel however much of the debt as they ultimately want. And so this is where you see just how much BS this is. They pretend like they can do nothing. And this is something Democrats are so great at. They pretend, oh, the Republicans and the parliamentarian and the filibuster, and gosh, we would if we could, but we didn't get a bill, so we just can't do it. This is 100% in your control. You just decided you don't want to.
And you know who used to know this? President Joe Biden. Let's put that tweet up there on the screen. This is while he was president of the United States. Additionally, we should forgive a minimum of $10,000 per person of federal student loans as proposed by Senator Warren and her colleagues. Young people and other student debt holders bore the brunt of the last crisis. It shouldn't happen again. Apologies, that was actually March of 2020. But regardless, this is a position that was already endorsed by the President of the United States during the course of the presidential campaign. Asked about it there at the podium. She's like, yeah, you can send us a bill and sign it. Look, I mean, it's just very clear. These people, they have no interest in trying to think big whatsoever, in trying to, Matt Stoller had a comment in his section of his premium Substack, which he publicized, I thought was so spot on. And it was like, Biden can't decide what he is. Sometimes he wants to be the defender of the status quo. Sometimes he wants to be some sort of new populist politician. By trying to be both, he ends up not being able to defend either, which is what makes him such a catastrophic politician in this age and why his approval ratings are collapsing. He's both personally inept at speaking, at, appearing and using the bully pulpit whatsoever, and on a policy level is so all over the map that he's a restrictionist, an isolationist in some cases, whenever it comes to like Afghanistan, a neocon when it comes to Ukraine and the defense of NATO, a big bill spender when it comes to the CARES Act of 2021, right after he became president, and then some weird bipartisan deficit hawk whenever it comes to Build Back Better. What the hell are you? Nobody in this country can be like, Joe Biden is an X-type politician.
Yeah.
He just is. I don't really know how else to describe it.
He's, I guess throughout his whole career, part of why he is kind of hard to figure is because he's very reactive.
Yeah.
It's just however he feels about the personalities involved or about the debate of the day or, how it sort of gels with one of his little slogans or personal family lore that he trots out. That determines policy versus any kind of a real sort of strategic vision, impetus, direction ultimately. And so yeah, I mean, he's all over the board just to really drive home the point that this is very different from what he was saying and what he promised on the campaign trail. Here he is on the campaign trail talking about student debt.
I'm going to make sure that everybody in this generation gets $10,000 knocked off of their student debt as we try to get out of this god-awful pandemic.
There you go. And again, look, I get it. Working with Congress is very hard. Mitch McConnell is a very difficult man. The filibuster Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema are genuine obstacles because they're so corrupt and they're just doing the bitter of the donors. You want to throw up these roadblocks like the parliamentarian and all these other things. But on this one, it's really clear. If you wanted to act, you could. And you've decided you don't want to. And by the way, just like putting the morality and the utility of this policy aside, young people are some of your strongest supporters.
Yeah. Well,
and they are also some of the least likely to turn out in midterms. So if you wanted to just, maybe throw a bone to some of the people that you'd like to show up and vote your people back in the midterms, well, this wouldn't be a terrible idea. The other thing I'll say about this is Iremy was messaging both of us. I thought he made an interesting point. Is he's like, the thing with the student debt and with the college, the student loan payments as well, is that these people were basically sold a false bill of goods. And rather than the Democratic Party focusing on building the labor movement, building wages so that you had other solid middle class options to go to without a college degree, instead what they leaned into was everybody's got to go to college. That's the one path for all, and we're going to push you in that direction. And in the process, of course, higher education costs skyrocketed, and what people are getting out of it is, ultimately not what was promised. Yes, you were still much more likely to get higher wages going out of college than coming straight out of high school, but you're saddled with such debt that they were effectively sold a false bill of goods, which I do think is a really important moral context around all of this.
No question. One of the things that frustrates me the most around a lot of the Democratic discussion is they're like, relieve all the debt. And I'm like, yeah, listen, I'm totally for some sort of debt relief, but these people are criminals in the universities. I mean, we did that segment in the past about the the Columbia film student who had $150,000 in debt, some outrageous six-figure number, and we've got zero job opportunities out of it. Increasingly, the inflation in the cost of tuition relative to the job market is astounding. It is criminal. There are a variety of reasons as to why that exactly has happened. And any discussion of paring back student debt without a discussion of the incentives and what they charge should be moot day one, in my opinion. And that's part of the issue I see as well. The universities and the crooks and all of the private debt collectors or whatever that are making money hand over fist on this. The other thing is that Biden himself should acknowledge that he is the one who set up that original, the 2005, 2007 debt bill, which made it so that you actually can garnish student, student debt from your wages.
And wasn't he part of making sure you can't
you can't discharge student debt. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I'm forgetting the exact year that this debt legislation, but he was the pioneer.
One of the things Elizabeth Warren fought him on, and then said not a word about once she was actually running for president. Right, it was a different Elizabeth Warren. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching.
That's right. Just as a reminder, you can become a premium subscriber today. Watch the full show completely uncut, our reactions to each other's monologues. You get to listen to it. You get to ask us questions, all that good stuff. Link is right there in the description or at breakingpoints.com.
Best of all, great way to say screw you to the mainstream media.